Hey guys, welcome to Gals and Giggles. I'm Sally.
I'm Gina, your host.
Today we are talking about something really, really important to both men and women, and even ages of all kinds: sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things that we could ever do in our life, from diet to our mental health. It's all about sleep. And so we have our wonderful Katie here with us today.
Hey, Katie.
Hey.
She is a phenomenal personal trainer, and she is a nutritionist specialist. And we're really, really happy to have her here today. So Gina and I have two different sleeping patterns.
Totally different.
Yeah, I have a certain way, she has a certain way, and we both don't really know which one's better for us, honestly, because we feel like we're both getting like 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but truthfully, we really don't know. So, Gina, how is your sleeping habits like?
It's wild. It's all over the place. There's no consistency. There's no regularity. Sometimes I sleep at 1. Sometimes I sleep at 4. Sometimes I sleep at 12. Which
but
is
you
early.
get your 8 hours still, right?
I don't set an alarm. I wake up when I wake up.
You wake up when you wake up. So does that look like sometimes 5 hours, and then all of a sudden it's 12 hours?
No, I feel like a lot of times I'll end up waking up at like 8 or 9. So I still get a good chunk of sleep.
Okay.
Unless I sleep at 4.
Okay.
Then it's like 3 hours.
And for the past, I think, 4 or 5 years now, I've been sleeping as much as I can regularly around the same time every single day, even if it's on the weekends. The only thing that drives me kind of crazy is when I do want to sleep in, my body won't let me. I legitimately cannot sleep past 7 hours, no matter how hard I try. Even amount of alcohol, gummies people give me, it's still 7 hours, and that's all I get. So
No, those are really good insights. I feel like on that note, alcohol and gummies really disrupt your natural flow of sleep, like your natural release of all of the hormones and chemicals like melatonin, cortisol. So that makes sense that they're kind of disrupted. It's very interesting because sleep controls everything, our circadian rhythm, and the release of melatonin, the release of cortisol. So when we wake up, our cortisol should be highest, so that stress hormone that we'll probably dive into a little bit more later. But cortisol is the highest when you wake up, and it should be the lowest right before you go to bed, whereas melatonin is actually just that nice like yin and yang. So melatonin should be lowest right when you wake up and highest right before you go to bed. Sleep controls everything, you guys. All hormones, men, women, children, adults, newborns, the whole thing. It really also controls your weight. When you feel like you've done all of you've eaten healthy, you exercise all the time, you drink a lot of water, it's usually always comes back to your sleep, why you feel like you can't like lose that X, Y, and Z amount of pounds, like why am I still not X, Y, and Z body fat percent, or like why am I still feeling lackadaisical? It is all coming back to sleep and the importance of that. I know you wanted to ask me before the show, we talked about, is it better to have less?
Yeah.
You phrased it well.
Yeah, so basically, is it better to have less sleep but have a set schedule, or is it better to have a lot of sleep and then just sleep at random times?
So like Gina versus me, back to that whole thing again, right?
Kind of. It is, well, yeah, I guess the consistency. But you have a good 7 hours. I think that's like a good amount. I feel like in your situation, I would say the former is better. So like consistency over quantity.
And that's because of the circadian rhythm.
It's because there's circadian rhythm, and your body feels like, I want to give an analogy. So it's like when your body feels like it's safe and it's going to get that sleep at the consistent time every single night, where you start just consistently showing up and like setting that alarm. I know you don't like to wake up with an alarm, but maybe even like experimenting like in those 30-second blocks, like, okay, instead of going to bed at midnight, I'm going to just try and go to bed at like 11:30. At least put your head on the pillow at that hour. It's the same exact thing how your body reacts to like feeding hours. Like that's why diets like really do not work, especially very much like restrictive diets, where your body's never sure when it's going to get that next feeding time, just like it's never sure when it's going to get that next shut eye. It's going to react negatively. Like it's going to hold on to that fat stores because it's not sure when it's going to get its next feeding time. It's going to try and hold on to all the energy it has there because it's not sure when it's going to get its next shut eye or like rest and reset. A lot of things happen when we sleep. It's like storing memories happens. Your body, your muscles are literally resetting. Your digestive system, it's at its highest function. So everything's like functioning optimally when you get that like consistent schedule sleeping. I do really like that question because I think that that's really relevant. Like I also feel like people are like, oh, I just sleep like 12 hours on the weekends and then I like, do 5 hours. Yeah, catch up. That's not a thing. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing, right? Because they feel like they're making up for their lack of sleep throughout the weekdays. I think that's what I did in college, but like I said, I physically cannot pass 7 hours. Right. My body won't let me.
Your body's operating on that 24-hour circadian rhythm cycle with sleep. It's not like it's like, oh yes, okay, on Friday we're gonna get a ton of hours of sleep, so we'll just hold on to this. It has no idea. It's gonna wake up each morning and be like, what the hell's going on? So it's not, sleep debt is not a thing. I mean, napping could be a thing, like quick cat naps are a thing because that is like the circadian rhythm cycle of 24 hours. But again, I do recommend getting majority of your sleep.
So, speaking of napping, what do you think napping means when someone says, I'm going to go take a nap? How long is that?
So I don't nap because then I feel groggier after.
I don't either, but there are people that nap.
Yeah, my parents.
I'm going to lie, once in a while I'll like close my eyes like in the car or something, but my nap is usually like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I could just like knock out for 10 minutes, and then my body will naturally just pop up in 10 minutes, and I'm like wide awake.
Wow, that's a gift.
Oh, okay.
I feel like not many people, it is a gift. I feel like when I think nap, I'm like, 2 hours. That's why like I don't nap, because then your body has the chance to go into that REM or like deep sleep, which is like not really the point of the nap. It's more to like, okay, rest for a second, then reset. But when your body's like then in that deep sleep and gets disrupted, it then just throws off your system again. So that's a really good question regarding naps. It is going to be those shorter intervals of naps.
So I called Gina yesterday and I asked her, because she's been very quiet. She usually texts me pretty much all day long, and she was quiet for a good 3 to 4 hours, and I thought she was working. So I called her and to see what was going on and if she was okay. She said she was napping, and I said,
3 to 4
napping
hours.
is 3 to 4 hours? She's like, no, I pretty much went to sleep.
Yeah, true. You took a little stint.
How long was your nap for yesterday?
Probably 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yes, I was doing work and then I went to go take a nap.
And then she went to sleep.
Yeah, I went to sleep.
Good night, Gina. Recap our meal times, exercise, and then light therapy. So that final one is going to be light therapy. So it's really important to expose your cornea directly to those UV rays of the sun within ideally 30 to 60 minutes when you wake up. Now you can like take your phone out there. If you really need to answer those emails, you can take your morning tea or morning coffee or breakfast out there. But ideally you are exposing your eyes directly to the light, because those UV rays are the ones that are going to set that cortisol release, set that melatonin, or diminish that melatonin, and make sure that it's being reset for later on in the day. Basically,
and that has nothing to do with if I just wake up and I'm just opening the shades, right?
Yeah, so it needs to be direct light.
Okay.
Not through the window. Good question.
Okay. So you were talking about exercise earlier, how if I go to bed at 10, I should stop exercising at 8 p.m. What about if you're doing a very light walk, like a gentle exercise, like a walk after dinner kind of a thing, or like a stroll? You're not really pumping your heart up.
That's great.
Is that
not the same thing?
Not the same thing,
No,
right?
like, you're like zone 1 heart rate. You're like, just like a leisurely walk.
Okay.
Is great. I always recommend, especially for blood sugar balancing, like at least getting in a little bit of walking, or like maybe walk the stairs of your house or your apartment complex or something after a meal to kind of get that glucose flowing through all of your cells.
Okay. My husband sometimes says, hey, because I like to take walks outside, especially at night. I feel like I love the night breeze, and I just like taking that stroll. and he says, oh, I'm too lazy. Can we just go to Target or go to Costco and just walk around? I don't really think that's the same as strolling, right?
No, definitely not, because you're still in that like fight or flight. Like you're hyper stimulated by all of the, again, stimulus that are at Costco or like at Target. So your mind is like not in that relaxed state. It's like, okay, maybe do I need this? Like or think about going to Target. It's like one of the best feelings on earth. You're like, oh, I obviously need that.
Kid at a candy store.
Yeah, no,
It's
literally.
the Target effect.
Yeah, the Target effect.
You go for one
the
thing and
TE,
you come back with 12.
and you're broke. Yeah.
And you're broke.
And like same with Costco. It's like even if you go to just like leisurely maybe like sample around, it's like you're still like annoyed by the person walking slow in front of you, and then it just sends you into that. Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely not the same thing. I mean, I like his idea of like getting a little pump in.
Yeah.
But not the same thing.
Okay, good to know. Well, thank you, Katie, so much for coming today. We really appreciate it. We hope that our fans learn a little bit of something about sleep habits, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.
Bye.